Hey guys, how's it going? So in this video, I want to talk about professional wrestling. What happened to the WWE? So tonight I was watching Friday Night SmackDown. It's a show that I used to watch all the time. I haven't watched it in ages, not until tonight. And after having not taken notice to it for so long, I don't know who's the heel, who's the face. I don't know who's the villain, who's the good guy. I don't know. I don't follow the storylines enough to know who's who or what's going on. There's new faces, new names, whatever. And tonight, as I was watching SmackDown, I was reminded of the very reason why I got bored with wrestling in the first place. And that is that they have really watered themselves down to this generation of people, especially the younger generation of kids. They have taken away all of the edgy stuff, the stuff that I would remember from like the 80s and especially the 90s. Because back in the 90s, back when WCW had the Monday Night Wars with WWF at the time, that was a hot commodity. We were all wrestling fans. I mean, we were so much of a diehard wrestling fan that we would actually imitate this shit in school. We would have our own NWO or Degeneration X, or, we were imitating this stuff in school because we were all so deeply enamored into wrestling. We were all wrestling fans back in the 90s. That's when it was happening. Hulk Hogan, a guy who told you to say your prayers, take your vitamins, to be a good person. He turned heel. He became a member of the New World Order on WCW, and I would never in a million years think that Hulk Hogan would ever be an enemy or a heel or a bad guy. And back then, I mean, they broke all the rules in the 90s. No one was offended by jokes or taking cracks at each other. No one got offended because it was entertainment. And those are the days of wrestling that I absolutely, truly miss. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. I absolutely miss the Attitude Era on WWF. I miss WCW Monday Nitro. I miss the days of the Monday Night Wars. It was fantastic. I loved it. And I've been a wrestling fan since I could talk, I guess. My dad and I always used to watch wrestling. I remember when Monday Night Raw made its debut back in 1993. It was great. It was really cool to see that. But this generation of wrestling it's awful. It's terrible. Kind of speaks for itself. And I what I think, and this is just my opinion, I think what happened is that the WWE, they went mainstream, and so much to the point where they have bent to the will of these overhyped, overstressed, overoffended pussies who are never happy. They are offended by sunlight. They're offended by the grass. They're offended by the clouds. They're offended by the fucking clothes they wear. They are offended by everything this generation is. They've gone from being a toddler right to an old person where they complain and nag about everything and everything pisses them off. They can never enjoy the entertainment for what it is. WWE had really watered themselves down. They had decided to kowtow to the younger generation to attract a more younger, youthful, and new fan base, which I understand. But that's not how it was for guys like me when we were watching wrestling on TV. When I was growing up, it was nothing like this. They didn't get all mainstream and water themselves down to appease to the generation or to appease the viewers at home watching from around the world. They didn't give a fuck. They broke all the rules. What happened? What happened? Why did WWE do that? Well, I mean, I just outlined the reasons. They kowtowed to this pussyfied generation because that's where the money is. They're trying to attract a new fan base, new, youthful, just young kids. They want to get them interested in the show. The writing is terrible because they talk more than they wrestle. The ring announcers, a commentary, my God, it's like they're overcompensating. he threw him through the table. And you can hear it in their voice, like, oh my God, he threw him through the table. Oh, he jumped off the top turnbuckle, put the elbow right into the chest. Listen, they're not Macho Man Randy fucking Savage, okay? Those days are gone. And I love Macho Man, by the way. But they overcompensate. They try to hype it up. And us, older generation, we've been fans of wrestling since the 80s, 90s. We're not buying into this anymore. It's gotten old. It's gotten stale. It's not entertaining. It's not fun. If I want to listen to people talk shit to each other, I'll watch Days of Our Lives or Young and the Restless or one of those soap operas. I'm not interested in the back and forth, gab that they have towards each other. I want to see wrestling. Back in the 90s, yeah, they would talk shit to each other, but there was more wrestling, more engagement than there was, smack talk and shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I'm gonna do it. It's like, get in the ring, damage each other, and go on to the next match. WWE, you guys have really turned me away from your programs because you've watered yourselves down way too much for this new generation. This again, they are just constantly offended by everything. You guys don't do fat jokes anymore because, fat shaming. That's a thing nowadays. These kids don't understand. Quit looking into that so much and enjoy it for the entertainment that it is. This generation of kids wouldn't have survived in the 80s and 90s growing up watching this shit. They wouldn't have done it. They would turn the TV off. And, back then we didn't have iPads and we didn't have TikTok. Shit, we didn't even have YouTube in the 80s. Back then, television was fun. We didn't have reality shows. Everything was so realistic. They knew how to sell a product. And we were convinced that this shit was real because they knew how to make it look so realistic. Nowadays, when you watch this shit, someone gets hit in the head with a chair. They go down. They don't stay down. They get right back up as though nothing happened. It's like, dude, you just got hit with a fucking chair. And you're going to bounce right back up from that? I wouldn't bounce right back up from that. Listen, before anybody comments, oh, but Jared, you know that wrestling is fake, it's obvious that most of it is. However, I don't think I would want to get hit in the head with a fucking chair or have a shin swapped with a baseball bat. I don't think I would like that. That's real, and that shit hurts. Yeah, they know how to hit them, where to hit them, but still, there's pain involved, and you have to have an endurance for pain. It still hurts, no matter how fake most of the shit is. It's painful. It hurts. But back then, they knew how to sell a product. They knew how to get people into the show. The old school wrestlers, a lot of them have died off, sadly and sorely enough, because they made the shows what they were. They made Nitro and Raw and Raw is War and the Attitude Era. They made those shows what they were, as great as they were. And that's why my generation and generations older than me, we got into that shit, man. We loved it because they knew how to sell. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to get the crowd riled up. They knew how to get the fans at home involved in the storylines. They knew, because these were trailblazer wrestlers. These were guys who were paving the way for the future generation, for the new blood, as they call it. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Jake the Snake Roberts and Brutus Barber Beefcake and Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty and Ravishing Rick Rude and the model Rick Martel. All these older guys, the Iron Sheik, Junkyard Dog, all these older wrestlers, they paved the way for these new and upcoming superstars, as they call them. Those guys are gone. Ultimate Warrior, gone. One of the Bushwhackers died. The Road Warriors are gone. I remember Jacques and Pierre, the Quebecers. You know, you guys probably remember all these tag teams and wrestlers. Big Boss Man, Bam Bam Bigelow, Doink the Clown. The list just goes on and on and on. They knew how to make it entertaining. The days of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund and Tony Schiavone and you know, when Vince McMahon was a ring announcer, they knew how to make it fun. Nowadays, when I watch this, I fall asleep. I can't get into it like I used to because they had gone mainstream. They went to this area. They thought they'd play around because that's where the money is. They're trying to kowtow to a more youthful audience, a newer generation, to get the next generation involved and to get them into the stories, which a lot of kids do. I mean, I know they get really excited about wrestling and watching WWE and going to the events, but I got to tell you, it's not the same as when I was growing up watching it or when you were growing up watching this. Those days are gone. WWE, you really, really, really made it boring for guys like me. Do you guys feel the same way as I do? I'd love to know what you have to say. Leave a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Take care.